Welcome to a brand new episode of the Jampack Report today for October the 23rd of 2020. Of course, my name is Samuel Adams and this is a daily gaming news podcast meant to bring you the hottest news you need to know from around the industry, hosted on YouTube and podcast services around the world 5 days a week. It is your one-stop shop for everything you need to know. So if you enjoy the show and you like what you see, hit that subscribe button and keep coming back for more. But today we have some very interesting news to dive into, including some controversial statements from a Google Stadia developer. Yes, we are going to be talking about it. But we'll get into that more in a moment. This is a new breaking story that the Xbox chief has hinted at TV streaming sticks for xCloud. I really do like calling Phil Spencer the Xbox chief because chief, you see what they did there? However, regardless of my dad joke, Microsoft's head of gaming and Xbox, Phil Spencer, has hinted that the company is planning TV streaming sticks for its xCloud cloud game streaming service. In an interview with Startechery, Spencer discusses the potential for additional tiers of Xbox Game Pass, which could include a free bundled TV stick to play xCloud games. Quote, I think you're going to see lower priced hardware as part of our ecosystem when you think about streaming sticks and other things that somebody might want to just go plug into their TV and go play via xCloud, says Spencer. You could imagine us even having something that we just included in the Game Pass subscription that gave you an ability to stream xCloud games to your television and buying the controller. Spencer also teases the potential for an Xbox Game Pass Platinum with guaranteed access to new Xbox hardware. Microsoft has been bundling Xbox subscriptions and hardware together in something called Xbox All Access, which includes access to Xbox Game Pass and the latest Xbox Series X and Series S consoles. It is a bundle that Spencer is obviously keen to experiment with in the future. The idea of an Xbox game streaming TV stick is not one that is new for Microsoft. The software giant was preparing lightweight Xbox streaming devices back in 2016, but it canceled the hardware. Microsoft has begun investigating streaming sticks and hardware ever since the company originally demonstrated Halo 4 streaming from the cloud to Windows and Windows phones all the way back in 2013. Spencer's first public mention of Xbox streaming TV sticks implies the hardware could be ready soon though. Microsoft has so far only bundled xCloud game streaming with its highest Xbox Game Pass Ultimate tier at $14.99 per month. There is certainly room for additional tiers and easier access to the service beyond just Android devices. Microsoft partnered with Samsung earlier this year for xCloud, and it's only a matter of time before we see the company's game streaming service appear on Samsung TVs. 2021 could be an interesting year for xCloud, especially as Microsoft is planning to upgrade its server blades to the more capable Xbox Series X hardware. We should also start to see xCloud appear on Facebook Gaming next year. Microsoft is also working on a web-based iOS solution for xCloud that will debut in early 2021. Spencer confirms our recent report on this iOS workaround in the Startechery interview, but warns that not being in the App Store is still a challenge for xCloud. Quote, we have a good solution on iOS and I think it will be coming kind of early next year. I feel good about the solution that we have, says Spencer. Of course, this solution is basically what Amazon is doing with their Luna game streaming service, where it is a browser-based option if you do want to stream via your iPhone or iOS device. So, TV streaming sticks. This is very, very impressive, and a lot of people are going to say that it's not going to give you the same experience as an Xbox Series X or a Series S, and it's not going to be as good as gaming on a PC. And for the consumer that is going to be purchasing that, it doesn't have to be. Now, for those that have not played with the technology itself, the game streaming with Xbox technology is very impressive. I mean, I've been playing games on it since it was in beta, and it is very, very good. It is minimally impacted by lag. There is nothing there that is going to be crippling your gaming experience. I was playing some Halo multiplayer and holding my own. Of course, it does not have that snappiness, that immediate response that you have with gaming on a screen, but especially for single-player games, especially for your kind of laid-back chill games, it's perfectly fine. It has minimal lag, and I really do mean minimal lag to where you have to really notice it and you have to really play games frequently for it to impact your overall experience. And of course, as time goes on, that experience is just going to get even better because they will improve the technology and continue to improve the service itself. So what could this look like? Number one, of course, there's a big partnership with Samsung, so I expect xCloud to come to televisions. On top of that, I think this very well could be a fantastic opportunity for a $5 a month subscription to Xbox Game Pass. Perhaps 10 if you do want to include some hardware. I could see 10 being the solution if you wanted to bundle in the xCloud streaming stick and then a controller. That kind of makes sense, and you pay it off over time in the same way that you do a console with Xbox All Access. So let's say $10 a month, you get access to the entire Game Pass library, streamable directly through a stick that you just plug into the back of your television. I would buy one simply because I have multiple televisions and it would be much easier and simpler for me to go in and plug something in rather than have to move a console from one TV to another. It just is very convenient. And for those with large houses, for those with younger kids, it's a very affordable entry point into the Xbox ecosystem. And that's Microsoft's approach for the next generation. They're trying to get as many people to get on board with Microsoft and Xbox products as they can. Whether you're gaming on PC and you want to get Game Pass, whether you are buying an Xbox Series S or a Series X, or whether you just want to play with Game Pass Ultimate and stream games to your Android device for currently $15 a month, but I'm sure a cheaper option is coming, they're trying to get you in there. And they're doing well because they're providing really great tools and really great opportunities to enjoy some of our favorite games. And so I really, really love what Xbox is doing, and I think that their approach is certainly standing out in my mind from the competition in a big way. So I'm excited to see where this goes. Just in general, Microsoft is very much so innovating in a way that I did not really expect going into this next generation. But if you do want to go into the next generation, Xbox Series X and S consoles have been pictured starting to arrive at Target stores. Redditor G. James Austin, there we go, said the pictures below were taken moments after the Target, where they worked at, received a shipment of 10 Xbox Series X consoles and 8 Series S units. They said their branch has yet to inform employees when it will be able to let customers start ordering consoles for in-store pickup. The store has also received some PlayStation 5 DualSense controllers and headsets, they said. So there is the box for the Xbox Series S. I don't know if that's ever been seen before. I know there was some discussion around that on Twitter yesterday. But man, what a clean little box. And if you look at the hand here, you can see just how tiny this is. And somebody on Twitter said it very well, and I apologize, the name escapes my mind. But they said this is the perfect branding for an impulse buy. If you're just wandering through Target or Walmart or Best Buy and you see this sitting on a shelf at $2.99, it's expensive, but for a lot of people, that's something that could be just a quick, sure, why not? Let's get the new Xbox, especially for somebody that might just have a 1080p TV. They might just dabble in gaming. This is a great opportunity to just check out some of the next gen games, and they're going to run incredibly well at 1080 and even 1440 on the Xbox Series S. And I love the way that it looks. But of course, the console itself is launching worldwide on November the 10th. And of course, the X cost $499 and the Series S cost $300 at $299. So of course, you can check those out if you would like to do that. But there you have it. Looks like they are starting to arrive at Target stores. Now, speaking of game streaming, 10 more Xbox Cloud gaming for Android titles are getting touch controls. And of course, that is xCloud. While Minecraft Dungeons has currently been the only game that supports touch controls on Xbox Cloud Gaming for Android, it is changing today. Microsoft announced that 10 more games are getting touch controls, and here's the full list of games that are getting the support. Dead Cells, Guacamelee 2, Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, Hot Shot Racing, Killer Instinct, New Super Lucky's Tale, Slay the Spire, Streets of Rage 4, Tell Me Why, and Undermine. While the addition of these touch controls will make playing the games above an even more pleasant experience, especially on the best tablets for Xbox Cloud Gaming, they promoted their article, it does not stop there. Touch controls are not a one-size-fits-all scenario. Instead, custom layouts or prompts will appear depending on the title, such as combat controls showing up in Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice whenever Senua fights the different foes she encounters in her travels. You can see these touch controls in action as our editor Jez Corden, they say at Windows Central, tries out Killer Instinct. There is over 150 games available to play through this streaming service, and the list is continuing to grow, with some EA titles joining over the coming months as EA Play joins Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. Very cool stuff here. Now, I, of course, would always go with the Bluetooth controller option because I prefer to have a physical controller whenever I'm playing games. But if you're in a pinch, or if you just want to be able to play something whenever you're on the way home from work on the subway, or whenever you are just killing some time in the office, or spending some time relaxing during your lunch break, it would be nice to not have to have a DualShock 4 or to not have to have an Xbox controller. And this is giving you the opportunity to do that. I think what really does set this apart is the fact that these control schemes are customized to the games themselves. So that means that you are going to have a very fluid experience and one that is kind of designed with mobile in mind, because there are a lot of mobile games that are very intuitive. Of course, you can look at games like Call of Duty Mobile, which just recently surpassed 300 million downloads, I believe, and it is very well optimized for playing on mobile devices. It almost feels the same as playing on a PlayStation 4 or an Xbox Series X or anything like that. It really does work very well. And so I think that if you rework games and their control schemes to work with mobile in mind, you can absolutely have a very successful cloud gaming for Android experience, and of course, eventually cloud gaming on other devices as well. I also think that their optimizations are showing that they're going to be focusing a lot on mobile for xCloud as well. Of course, they're talking about bringing it to iOS in some kind of way, shape, or form. They're continuing to work on that App Store integration, but I think that being able to see these mobile controls being a very important part of a lot of the games that are coming out right now are certainly big telltale signs that you are going to be getting more support in the future. Now, let's talk more about another cloud game streaming service. Google has distanced itself from Stadia devs' suggestion that streamers should pay publishers of games they broadcast. It comes in response to the suggestion made by Stadia Games and Entertainment Montreal, formerly Typhoon Studios, creative director Alex Hutchinson, which last night blew up on Twitter, causing Google Stadia to trend worldwide and a mountain of bile to be flung his way. Here's what Hutchinson said. Quote, streamers worried about getting their content pulled because they used music they didn't pay for should be more worried by the fact that they're streaming games that they didn't pay for as well. It's all gone as soon as publishers decide to enforce it. In a follow-up tweet, the real truth is the streamers should be paying the developers and publishers of the games they stream. They should be buying a license like any real business and paying for the content they use. Hutchinson argued artists get paid when songs are streamed from a music service, and that in other mediums, permission or payment is typically required when using people's copyrighted creations. The general response to this idea was, well, streamers act as marketing for games, and many of the most popular titles on Steam and elsewhere owe their success to being streamed at all. Some, Hutchinson conceded. There's also the sense that this horse bolted long ago. Even Nintendo's controversial attempt to bring in a YouTube revenue share program died a death a couple years back. Hutchinson's idea was clearly provocative, but seemed to draw a special amount of ire due to his job title being listed as creative director at Google Stadia, a role he now has clarified with his actual job title. And of course, the irony of someone who described themselves as a high-ranking exec at a struggling game streaming service saying streamers should pay money to publishers was not lost on Twitter.com. In response, a Google spokesperson told 9to5Google, quote, the recent tweets by Alex Hutchinson, creative director at the Montreal studio of Stadia Games and Entertainment, do not reflect those of Stadia, YouTube, or Google. We believe that publishers and creators have a wonderful symbiotic relationship that has allowed a thriving ecosystem to be created, YouTube's gaming boss Ryan Watt added. One that has mutually benefited everyone. YouTube is focused on creating value for creators, publishers, and users. All ships rise when we work together. First and foremost, let's talk about the statement itself, because streamers are a major part of gaming today, and they are perhaps one of the most powerful forms of marketing, especially for those hardcore gaming audience members that are spending time on Twitch and that are spending time on YouTube gaming and that are spending time on Facebook gaming and any other kind of streaming or content creation platform. Because if you look at a game like Among Us, which of course is the popular example right now, it went from having less players than I have fingers to having millions of players around the world in literally just a matter of days because Sodapoppin streamed it. Whenever you look at other games like PUBG, which rose to fame because, number one, of course, a good game. Number two, it was streamed very heavily. If you look at a game like Fortnite, streaming culture impacted the entire trajectory of its game in a huge way. If you look at Ninja playing with Drake, if you look at all these streamers switching platforms and having these multi-million-dollar deals, it is an industry, it is massive. And so to see what it's been able to do for the games that these people are playing should be enough justification to say these people are paying for the game. On top of that, many of the biggest streamers are continually pumping money into the microtransaction system that is found within a lot of these games. And so you have this reciprocal relationship where there's a promotion and an elevation of the games that are being played, and in response, as the game gets more popular, the streamer gets more popular. And as the streamer gets more popular, the platform gets more popular. And as the platform gets more popular, more people come to stream on the platform and watch on the platform, and then more people buy the game because the streamers are playing. You see what I'm saying? It's a relationship. It's a symbiotic cycle. And so to be able to monetize a nickel and dime every single thing might be a good idea to somebody that's just trying to make money in the industry, but ultimately you are trying to help each other out. Ultimately, it really comes down, if you want to get down to brass tacks, having a good time. Have we all forgotten about that? Because I first started streaming back in, I suppose, 2014, 2015, something like that, and it was just to have a good time playing games with people online. Now, of course, I've dribbled off from streaming over the years, and that's perfectly fine. Not everybody's cut out for it. But ultimately, it's not about making money. Now, there are people out there that are running businesses, legitimate businesses. Your biggest streamers are definitely there for their jobs, obviously. But ultimately, it shouldn't be something that you have to pay a licensing fee for, especially for those that are streaming and they have 10 to 20 viewers or even less than 10 viewers, less than 5 viewers. There are people out there that will pay for that licensing fee, and they will pay for the ability to stream these games, and that's not right. These people are just trying to have a good time, trying to make something, trying to be creative in their free time. Not a good take at all. Now, on top of that, I like what King Gathalion said, where essentially, and this is, of course, not the direct quote, but no one that's working at Google Stadia has any right to be giving any kind of business advice right now, because the streaming service is not doing well. Not doing well at all. If you look at what it's been doing, it doesn't really have any major exclusives that are bringing tons of people over. It does have a new Pac-Man game, but that's not going to be bringing me over. And on top of that, this guy was really kind of just lying about his position, because he was not creative director at Google Stadia. He was creative director at a studio within Google Stadia. Let's make it very clear. So ultimately, not a big fan of this. I liked Alex Hutchinson before. I've talked to him on Twitter before. We had a nice interaction about Journey to the Savage Planet, which I love, but just a really bad take at a really bad time. Now, if you do want to not play Google Stadia and you want to get some free games on Epic Games, they're really getting into the Halloween spirit at Epic. Epic is doing its part to make sure you're ready for Halloween. Okay, maybe it'd be nice if Epic showed up and decorated your house and stitched your costume together, but maybe placed some candy at your door. But as far as video games go, Epic has you covered. Last week, Jordan told you that Costume Quest 2 and Layers of Fear 2 are the next designated Epic Games Store freebies. Now, I'm here to tell you it does not taper off for Halloween proper. Next week's treats are Blair Witch and Ghostbusters, the video game remastered. That's a good mix. Layers of Fear 2 and Blair Witch are here for the paralyzing grotesque horror, Costume Quest 2 is something more lighthearted yet Halloween themed, and Ghostbusters is the beloved blockbuster hit, something for everyone. You know the score. Pick up Costume Quest 2 and Layers of Fear 2 before October 29th. That is when Blair Witch and Ghostbusters take over. Just around the corner, speaking of, don't look just around the corner. There's probably something scary as hell over there. Very cool. For some reason, super excited about Ghostbusters Remastered being included here. I think that's one that I'm absolutely going to dive into and check out, because I've kind of been wanting to play it low-key for a while. And on top of that, of course, Layers of Fear 2, you have Blair Witch, Costume Quest 2. It's a good little Halloween mix. Next week seems to be the big week with, of course, Blair Witch and Ghostbusters, but still, fantastic opportunities all around. Now, to round out today's show, Tom Holland's Nathan Drake has been revealed in a first photo for the long-in-development Uncharted movie. It's been over a decade since work began on a movie based on Naughty Dog's popular Uncharted games. In that time, the film has cycled through 7 directors, 5 release dates, and a series of scripts and actors. But a new picture from star Tom Holland, who will be playing a younger version of the series hero Nathan Drake, in full costume as the character, gives the best evidence yet that the film is actually happening this time. The shot is admittedly not much to go by, just a still of Holland in Drake's cargo pants, Henley combo, and matching pistol holsters, but looking closely reveals the ring, which in the game's canon belongs to Nathan's maybe ancestor, Sir Francis Drake. It's also hard to not fixate on the fact that 24-year-old Holland looks young in his first appearance as Nathan Drake. Given that the Nathan Drake in the Uncharted games is in his mid to late 30s, that is not too surprising. The movie is reportedly said to be a prequel/origin story for the character. But it's still a jarring shift for anyone accustomed to the older Nathan Drake. That is especially true when compared to other live-action interpretations of the character in media like Sony commercials or a particularly good fan film that starred Nathan Fillion, who should have been the casting choice for Nathan Drake, and Stephen Lang as pitch-perfect replicas of Drake and Sully. Original Nathan Drake voice actor Nolan North also shared a few images from the set, which he appears to prove that the Uncharted movie, which at least for now is still being directed by Ruben Fleischer, is in fact a real film that is actually in production and could one day be something you watch in theaters. I've got to talk about this, and here's the deal with this Tom Holland shot. This doesn't feel like Nathan Drake at all. This feels like Tom Holland dressing up as Nathan Drake for Halloween. I want to believe, I want the Uncharted movie to be good. I just don't feel like it's going to be. I feel like this is Sony pumping tons and tons of money into a project that's just not really going to be destined for greatness. The casting of Mark Wahlberg as Sully, what? That's so strange. That's weird. That doesn't fit at all. Tom Holland as Nathan Drake? No. Nathan Drake's supposed to be older. I know it's an origin story, but it just doesn't click with me. It doesn't feel right. Of course, I could be proven wrong, but it's just, I'm not feeling it. I'm just not feeling it. But let me know what you think in the comments section down below. I would love to see what you think about Tom Holland's take on Nathan Drake, and when do you think the movie will actually come out, before or after the PlayStation 6? But no, I hope you enjoyed today's show, and if you did, drop me a like down below, and I will talk to you guys on Monday for a brand new episode of the Jampack Report, or you can subscribe and stay up to date for everything I upload, including on Sundays, when you get a hot episode of The Drop showing you all of the hottest games of the week. But until next time, you guys have a fantastic day. I'll talk to you soon, and peace.